Hello and welcome to the bonus episode for 432 of Conversation Street. This is our chat about our final few days of our holiday. The holiday's nearly over, Gemma. I'm so sad. We've still got some cool stuff to do, but we're definitely on the tail end of it. We're going to be talking about Friday to Monday today, which includes what we got up to yesterday, which was a day trip to Blackpool. Ooh.
Yeah, we went to Blackpool.
We wanted to do something fun and big and, away for the end of the holiday before we finished. And as Coronation Street's had many an episode filmed up the road in Blackpool, it's what, hour and a quarter or so away up the motorway, roughly. We thought, let's just go there and do it. But we did make a little stop off on the way, Gemma.
Yeah, we went to, in tribute to our Canadian listeners, Tim Hortons, because that is their cultural export to the world, apart from maple syrup and hockey.
Yeah. It's like you said it was like a cross between Costa and Krispy Kreme or something, or McDonald's.
And McDonald's, because they do donuts and they do like muffin meals for breakfast, and then they have like fried chicken sandwiches and stuff.
They do
but
it
they
all.
also like coffee, and they also do Timbits.
It was nice. I had a nice drink called French Vanilla, which is just like sugar in a cup heated up, basically.
Yeah.
Which is lovely. And we had like a muffin. We had
a big
a
breakfast wrap.
We got some little donuts,
which
were
nice. Timbits. They're called Timbits.
But we also got a big ring donut, which was weird.
It was the worst
What's going on there? It just looked like a plain ring donut, but it tasted like ginger and allspice. You could taste hints of.
It's supposed to be original glazed. And original what?
That just means plain in our language, but
plain.
Didn't like that.
Let's try again.
On the whole, I am glad that we had the Tim Hortons experience after hearing about it so long ago.
Sally Ann Matthews is the one who told us that they had them in Manchester years ago, because she had us talking about it on the podcast, because obviously we sometimes learn about Canadian things from our listeners. So it's like a cultural exchange program.
So now we have finally made it. So that's one to tick off the list. But I would like to, honestly, I'd go there again. And if they had them down south, I'd certainly go there. But it was lovely.
So we went to Blackpool, and the first place we went to was the Strand Hotel. So Michael, why did we go there?
This is where Rita was staying when she was trying to escape Anne and Bradley. And then he came up to try and bring her back to Weatherfield, but accidentally got hit by a tram.
So annoying.
Yeah. So we went to the Strand, and it looks completely different now.
As you know,
we struggled to find it at first.
COVID-19 has happened, and everybody, like the tourist industry, has been hit the hardest. So when we got there and the hotel was closed, I wasn't immediately surprised. But when we peered through the windows, we could see that there was a bit of a kerfuffle going on inside, because there were like bits of building stuff everywhere, and I wondered what had happened.
Well, even the outside was completely different than you recognised. I thought,
really
are there two strands?
Yeah, no. Why do you always say weird things? I knew what was going on. So we came away, and you started getting your phone out to go, oh, is this even the right place? It's because I was looking
for the plaque, because they got an Alan Bradley plaque, which wasn't there on the front.
So then a lovely lady came out, and I was like, oh no, we're going to get in trouble because we were spying, and I didn't realise anyone was even here, because it did look a bit abandoned. And she just goes, would you like to look inside? And we were like, yeah. Yeah,
so we got a grand tour
of took us all the way
mid-renovation. It's lovely.
Her renovated hotel. She just got it in January. Her name is Mary Holiday, and she has two sons, Alan and William, and they were helping her to do it up, and it's absolutely gorgeous inside what she's done with it so far.
And Mary herself was the epitome of hospitality, wasn't she? She was so lovely.
She could not be a more welcoming host. If you want to stay in Blackpool, go to the Strand Hotel, not just for its Corrie connections, but also for the lovely proprietor. And they're going to open in September. I would highly recommend it. It looks really nice in there. We stayed in there before. It was done up, but this looks like another level.
And she showed us the plaque that was inside, and we talked a little bit about Coronation Street. She said a bit about she'd only been there since January, had she? Yeah. But she said she knew that they did some scenes on Coronation Street there a couple of years ago when Jenny and Johnny stood outside. Yes.
And they also phoned her up because of that Villains programme.
Yeah, when they used our plaque picture on the show. But I reckon that they need to get Sally Ann Matthews up there to give it a grand reopening.
I think that Mary would like that, and I think that Sally Ann Matthews would be treated like a princess.
Queen.
Well, yeah, all right then.
So that was great. We took a few photos outside of there, and then we headed on to. We just walked because it's basically Blackpool. If you haven't been there, you don't know. It's one long prom, isn't it, along the seafront?
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously a big bit of town behind it, but anything that you'd want to go to attraction-wise is all on the front.
Bits are along the seafront, and it's about 2.5 miles. Well, from the Strand Hotel to get all the way right to the bottom of the pleasure beach.
Yeah.
Is 2.5 miles, and it sounds like it's a long walk, but actually once you get going, and you know it's not if it's not too hot like it was yesterday, it's actually a nice pleasant.
It was
walk.
Cooler than it had been. There was a bit of cloud we saw, wasn't there?
And it's got a simply enormous beach as well. When the tide is out, it's just huge.
Yeah, we didn't go paddling yesterday.
We didn't go, but even considering it was like it's the height of the tourist season here in the UK, it was a heat wave. And nobody's going abroad at the moment. I was still surprised at how it wasn't. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Crowded. There were lots of people there, but you could still socially distance, and there was loads of room on the beach for people. So, if you fancy somewhere to go and paddle.
Yeah, we stopped off and had drinks at a place on the way down, didn't we? Had some fancy
Hut,
cocktails. You had a little flamingo-y cocktail, and I had a
flamingo
mojito-y mocktail thing, which was
syrup.
quite nice.
Your
drink basically was, isn't it?
Sugar syrup.
Yeah. And so we just walked down. We didn't go in anything. Didn't buy any rock or anything like that. But
we couldn't because everybody wanted cash, and we only had cards. We had to scrape together pennies to get you a bottle of water, didn't I?
Because I started getting funny again.
Oh, such a diva!
I know, I was totally. But we'd taken some other screenshots of Coronation Street in Blackpool before we went, and we did another couple of recreations. Like there was a Kathy and Roy on the pier, and. What else did we do? There's a Roy and Hayley one that didn't work out so well, but yeah, it was great going to see it. I mean, the reason that we couldn't stop off is because we planned to go off, have some ice cream, a place recommended by Charlie when we were speaking to him earlier this week or last week, and then we were going to go to Madame Tussauds, and this ice cream place, which was called, what is it?
Notariani,
which is down the south part of Blackpool.
Very, very far down.
But it was lovely ice cream. I'm really glad that we got a chance to try that. Gemma had just like a plain vanilla ice cream in a cone with some nuts on top.
Charlie recommended the vanilla, and it was true.
And I went all out,
Vanilla's good.
holiday, and I had a Biscoff sundae, which was flipping lovely. But my eyes were definitely bigger than my stomach, and I didn't even get close to finishing it. But I gave it. I know, I can't finish ice creams. Feel funny if I'm out in the sun too long. I don't know what's going on with me.
You need a little hat.
But we did that, and then what we wanted to do after that was to go to Madame Tussauds, where they've got a Coronation Street exhibition.
We've been before.
Yeah.
We've been to Madame Tussauds.
It's like a mock-up Rovers, isn't it?
They have a very small area which has got. I mean, it's still pretty big, I guess, but. It's got a few waxworks. It's got Stan and Hilda.
No, it hasn't got a stand. It's got a Hilda standing outside the Rovers with a mop and bucket, and there's like a recreation of a couple of the house fronts. Yeah. And Jack and Vera were outside their house, but I think Jack's inside the Rovers because he's been spruced up since we went there last. And they've also put in a Michelle Connor waxwork. Iconic or what?
I know.
But sadly...
She didn't get on a stamp, but she got in the Waxwork Museum.
Totally. I was speaking to you yesterday, and I was thinking, I wonder if Michelle had stayed in the programme for a few more months, would she have been the fourth barmaid on that stamp?
I really am sure that she would have got it. She would have made it onto a stamp. And is this a lesson to us all?
Yeah.
Just to stick.
Hang around until they stick you on a stamp.
And then go.
Life lesson.
Yeah.
But yes, sadly, my date with Wax Michelle is going to have to be postponed, and I think she's going to be pretty mad with me that I've had to stand her up. I mean, for some reason, they've made her model happy and smiling in the Rovers. I don't know, it's more like a Kim Marsh waxwork than a Michelle Connor. But I've got a feeling that by the time we get out to Blackpool again, I get to see her. I'm going to be in the doghouse. She's going to be there with her trademark scowl and folded arms.
Or she's going to be like one of those things out of Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, well, like an weeping angel. Yeah.
And if you turn your back and look back at her, she's scowling with her arms crossed.
As she gets nearer and nearer until she's grabbed you by the ear and dragging you back down to the Rovers cellar.
Oh my god!
But yeah, we didn't get to go and see that, sadly, because we got there and it flipping closed at 4:00. We arrived there at 4:15 and we thought that's surely going to be the right amount of time to be able to get in there, but it was not.
What kind of lazy time wasters close an attraction in a tourist destination.
I do blame myself.
At 4 o'clock.
I blame myself for not checking, but honestly, 4 o'clock closing, what's that like? But we went to the Sea Life Centre instead, which is just down the road. It was very nice. We got to see some lovely fish and rays and turtles and things like that. And sharks, yeah, it was great. And that was our end.
Good to say, we also saw some funny animals that reminded us of Animal Crossing. So if you play Animal Crossing and you like diving for sea creatures or catching fish, go to the Sea Life Centre, because you'll be going around going, oh, I've got one of those.
Then we stopped off at Lytham St Anne's on the way. Is it Lytham St Anne's? I'm not really sure.
It's about 15 minutes from Blackpool, and it could not be more different.
It's very fancy.
Yeah, it's nice.
No wonder Ina Sharples wanted to retire there.
I can't remember the exact name of the place we stopped for dinner. It was St Anne's or something. St Anne's Fish and Chips
restaurant.
And it was really nice.
It was lovely. I felt proper northern. I had a steak pudding, and I don't think I've ever had one before. With the sooty outside.
Are you joking? I've made you them before.
Yours was even better than this one, but this one was very, very nice. I promise you. So that was nice. It's nice to just get away, because it's a world's away from Blackpool, isn't it? Despite only being 15 minutes.
I really
wanted
to have fish and chips on the seafront, but it was too hot, really, and I didn't want to.
So from there, we went to we were heading back here, but we stopped off in Tockholes on the way, which is a little village out the way, which is the place where they filmed the pub in the 10,000th episode of Coronation Street. It's called the Royal Arms, I think, is it? But like so many things on this holiday, closed for renovations, closed due to COVID.
They closed because of COVID, and then decided to renovate it. And so they've built a massive extension onto the side of it. And it's kind of an interesting theme that we've discovered, that many of the places who have featured on Coronation Street, at least recently, now have quite...
and a facelift.
It's like they use the money to fund some kind of improvements on the exterior, which is quite fun. But this was, so this area had not just the pub, but also the lay-by and the bus stop that featured in the bit that we didn't like when they ran over Dennis Tanner's ashes. So although I think the pub is more sort of recognisable from the interior shots, which unfortunately now you'll never be able to get, because they've renovated it, so it's not going to look the same inside at all.
I don't know whether they're renovating the inside.
Well, they're not going to renovate it, but they're building a giant extension on it.
Okay.
They're not going to renovate it to look the same.
We got pictures of the bus stop, didn't we, at least? Eventually, because when we got there were these youths.
They weren't youths.
20-year-old. They were just hanging around in the car park right by where the bus stop was, and I just wanted to ask them to please move out of the way I just want to take a comparison shot of me pretending to be Jenny Bradley on a bus stop. What's wrong with that?
Yeah,
but I was too nervous. So we sat around and we went for a little walk, and then came back and then took the photos, and then we were off. So that was basically it. That was that Friday going up north of Manchester. Bit, newsflash, Gemma, we just saw a celebrity in the street.
Oh my god,
unexpected recording. We were not planning to record tonight, but we just saw somebody.
Celebrity sighting.
And it's a twist, everybody. It was Rick Neelan. Oh yes,
now
Axel
listen,
Gregor. We just walked past in the street. It was him, I swear. He had a hat and a beard, but we knew it was him.
He had a beard before, didn't he?
I don't know.
But we don't listen. I know we don't do spoilers on this podcast, and we apologise for the spoiler that Rick Neelan is not dead. But we thought you all ought to know, really, because of all the.
He was just walking down the road,
just like a regular.
We went out and had dinner.
This is our final posh dinner of our year, probably, and we went to Hawksmoor. And I just got to say, they were all the friendliest people, the friendliest wait staff I've ever had in any restaurant. Everyone was so nice and cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's lovely. Yeah. So we came out and we were walking down the road, and we both looked at this guy. And my thought process was the same as yours, because I asked you afterwards. We didn't notice it was him until about 3 seconds before our paths crossed, and I thought, who's that? I think I recognise him. Oh, he's in Corrie. Oh, that's Rick. And then by the time I noticed that, he'd already gone past us, and we couldn't stop him for I don't know what he said.
We wouldn't have wanted to.
Are you Rick Neelan?
I elbowed you.
Did you?
Yeah, I went, oh. Like
oi,
that.
Oi.
I think he saw me going, oh.
Probably gets it all the time.
Yeah,
What would you have said though? Lend us a tenner.
Why?
He's a loan shark, it's his job, isn't it?
And he'll say, and then he'll punch you and take 20 out of your wallet. Yeah. That's how loan sharks work.
Maybe it's for the best that we didn't stop him to say hello there.
I don't think it would have been nice to stop him. It's a bit different when you stop people in Media City, because they know that that's the score, isn't it? If you're walking around Media City, chances are that somebody, if they recognise you, might want to stop you and talk to you. But when
Yeah.
you're just walking around being a regular person, you're not even in the show. And
You haven't been in the show for over a year.
And you're technically dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought that was very exciting.
So
I think
is
that was our certainly furthest away celeb sighting in the wild, furthest away from Media City, I mean.
That's the only
They're
one.
everywhere. And literally, when we go on holiday,
Can't
like,
move
I don't know
for-
what I'm going to be in the video version of this. I don't know what I'm going to be showing. Probably loads of pictures of steaks and things, and Greg Wood. But yeah, when we're walking around town in Manchester, I always look at everybody's face just in case.
We just also had, after that we had a funny encounter with a lovely lollipop lady, didn't we? And by lollipop I mean that she had a very skinny body and a big head. And
Oh, I got
eyelashes.
confused. I thought you said somebody was helping us to cross the road.
No, that's what, in my mind, that's how all these lovely dolly birds, I call them lollipop ladies.
Somebody
in my
asked
head.
you to take their
And
photo.
she goes, oh, do you mind if you take my photo? And she goes, hold it like this and make sure you hold it up high. And I took it. She goes, can I have a look? Oh no, my head looks really big. Can you take it again? And then I took it again. And then her boyfriend was going, I'm so sorry. Oh, you've got your own evening to get to. And I'm like, we're holding milk.
Yeah,
I don't know what
we
you
got
think
2
we're
pints of
going.
milk in our hand.
Don't know where
we're going home.
It's 7 o'clock. We're going home. And then she made me take 3 different
3
shots,
sets of
didn't
photos.
she?
Yeah,
I don't know
funny.
if she was happy in
lovely.
the end, but she was so
She
sweet
looked
and
very
adorable.
glam, and
She was very glamorous.
The guy had posh shoes and no socks. I noticed.
She had her eyelashes were about 3 inches long.
Anyway, just wanted to share that exciting news to you.
Yeah. And that's
it.
we're just gonna pack up and go home now.
Yeah.
Well, we're on our way. Michael's laptop's
My laptop
alive.
is making noises there.
Right.
Right, bye. Hello, and now we are back home. So sad. Holiday's over, Gemma.
We're back home again.
Back home recording. You can probably tell by it's a lot less echoey in here. But yeah, we're back home. But we had one last thing to do on our Corrie tour of Manchester / well, it's not even the north anymore, is it? Because Shrewsbury is more the Midlands. But anyway, yesterday we packed up all our bits, tidied the apartment, packed up, said goodbye to it, broke up the jigsaw, which is tragic because that had taken us 6-7 hours maybe, I don't know. And then we got on the road and went to Shrewsbury.
Yes,
which
we
is
did
lovely.
indeed.
And why did we go there? You
Why?
might ask.
What was the point of that?
You tell me.
Oh, because we are going to visit Shrewsbury Prison.
What do you mean we are going to visit? We did visit.
We were going to visit, and that was the place that they filmed the prison riot scenes when David Platt was in prison, and we had all that drama.
Yes.
And hostages and stuff. So we thought we'll go there to see what it's like we've done with all the other places sets. And I have to say, this was one of the most interesting things that we did the whole holiday.
But let's get to that in a minute, because before we even got to the prison, we had a little encounter with one of our listeners, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Andrew M.
listener Andrew.
Who we I can't remember how did we? Oh yeah, we were talking with him the other week, weren't we? And we mentioned we were popping over to Shrewsbury, and he said because that's in his neck of the woods, and he would come give us a quick tour of the town before we went into the prison, which was lovely of him.
He was so lovely and cool, and he showed us around. We did a big we walked about 5 miles, and now we know everything there is to know.
Well, we got to
Shrewsbury.
The roads around Shrewsbury are flipping complicated, aren't they? Or maybe it's just me. But we were supposed to get to some car park and we couldn't work out where it was. We were driving round and round, and that gave us, an hour or so with Andrew, was it?
About an hour and a half.
I thought it was a really pretty town. I've never had any calls to go there before. And there's lots of pretty flowers all over the
really
place.
nice
Lots of
place to
old
go.
buildings. There's an abbey. There's a castle. It was great.
There's lovely churches.
Yeah, so thank you very
Good
much,
shops.
Andrew. I very much appreciated the tour.
Excellent
around the
host.
town.
Oh, and a quarry that is just it's a park with lovely flowers.
Yeah.
Because they've got very nice floral displays in there.
Mm.
Well
So
done, Shrewsbury.
we rocked up to the prison at about, when was our
Thank
tour?
you,
2
Andrew.
o'clock.
Thank you.
2 o'clock was our tour there, and we had a jolly good look round. We got there late. The tour had already started, hadn't we? No, we
It
weren't
wasn't-
late. We
no.
were there 2 minutes. They'd started their tour early,
Yeah, they did.
so we hopped on the end.
We didn't miss anything.
No.
The guy who was running the tour is called Graham, and he was one of, I don't know how many tour guides they've got there, but most of them are ex-prison officers. And so what this place is, Shrewsbury Prison, Dana Prison, I don't really know what the naming conventions are and when it changed, but it is a prison that was up to very recently used as a prison that has been abandoned by the prison service and left, and was going to be converted into flats and stuff, and so it's been taken over, and tours are run there so that you can go and experience what it is like to be a prisoner, and learn from the prison guards how things worked. And for someone like me who's interested in people and has always been a bit fascinated with experiences that are outside of my, like, I don't know anyone who's been in prison, so I wouldn't be able to talk to anybody in my real life about this, but it is very interesting because I've always been fascinated by the idea you can do something wrong or just be accused of it, and if there's enough evidence, somebody can just take you away and put you somewhere, and you have to stay there for however long they say. I just find it boggling. And I always imagine what it would be like, and so now I know I know bits and bobs of it. Obviously, you need to go there to really experience it. But Graham was so good at explaining everything.
Yeah, because he's had the experience as an ex-guard.
Yeah, so you get to go everywhere, really. It was like the main wings, and there was bits that we didn't get to see because we were there for like 2 hours. The tour takes 2 hours, I think. But we still didn't see everything.
No, we didn't. Well, when we got in, one of the first bits they took us to was what you might imagine if you think of a prison, with like the rows of cells on either side of the room and the stairs. There was like 4 floors, weren't there?
That was called A Wing.
Yeah, and that was what I immediately recognised as what they used for the scenes in the riot last year with David. Although interestingly, a lot of the cell scenes with David and was he in cell with anyone particular? I can't remember now.
Don't know.
But they were filmed over at the studio up in Media City in Manchester, because they've got a prison set which is above Prima Donna, I'm gonna say. The set is above there.
I don't know if that's where the cells are.
I think it's roughly around there, because there's so much that's at Media City that you might not realise. Like all the hospital stuff is there.
They hide things because
everything's very well hidden. The hotel set.
They've got buildings, and the interiors of the buildings are not inside the interiors that they match with. So you've got Roy's Rolls, and there's a bit of Roy's Rolls in there, but I think that's one of the few sets that actually you can go into and it looks similar to what it should be like. So if you go into, say, Ken's house, none of Ken's interior is in there. No. So there's actually quite a lot of empty shells of buildings that you can change and use. Like if you go down Victoria Street and you're walking towards Costa, like this is a real place, on the right hand side, what's there? What do you think's there? Nothing really, is there? You don't really go there in the show. No. Inside there is quite a lot of the medical centre stuff. So anyway,
so all the cells in Coronation Street are there, but for the actual prison-y bits, not even the waiting room, because there's a waiting room up in the Coronation Street set as well.
Do you mean visiting room?
The visiting room, yeah. So yeah, all the bits with like there's a table football table, there's a bit of ping pong, I can't remember, but all of that bit was in the prison, and it makes it look an awful lot more authentic. They could never have done that in Media City.
Decommissioned, wasn't it?
Yeah, so 2013, I think.
It's like what a modern prison looks like. So it's like the old, I think it was, did they say it was Georgian Victorian? The way they build it is very familiar to lots of people who've seen anything with the prison in it. You've got 2 rows of cells, you've got 3 floors, and you've got a staircase going up, and in between each floor is that they call suicide nets, is that what he called them? So that you can't throw things or jump off there. Yeah,
and you can see in some of the riot scenes when everything's been thrown around and the whole place has been destroyed, there was bits that were on top of those nets, weren't there?
Yeah.
And also, one of the bits that I recognised the most was when David had Josh, and they kind of went up the stairs. He went with some of the other guys, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was I can't remember. Yeah, there was his other cellmate, his tough guy cellmate. I can't remember what it was called. But yeah, anyway, they took him up the stairs, and that's when David whispered to Josh, "Let's run, let's get out of here," and then took him to the room and barricaded him in. So it was really cool seeing the bits that we recognised, but also a few bits like there was a wall with at a far end which has got bars and a gate on it. It looks proper prison-y in it, and that's made to look like the entrance of the prison in the show, in some shows, but actually it's not. No, they also you saw. Actually, you showed me later, didn't you? There was a particular cell that was used in Hollyoaks. I'm going to say Holby City.
This is Holby City Prison, apparently.
Apparently so, yeah. So there was a little sign up there saying this was Rick's cell, whoever that is. I don't know. but there was no cell, as far as we could tell, that was, here is David's cell, because it wasn't filmed in there. They must have him coming out of a room. But
Joel also showed us a bit where, was it the BBC came in and they put a fake brick wall on one side of a cell because all the cells are smooth rendered, and they obviously had a very specific mood in mind, which was like painted brickwork. So they came in and they put a fake wall on inside the prison. That was really interesting. You were talking about the staircase earlier, and the stairs, if you go in there, you'll notice they're not normal stairs. They're not very comfortable to walk on. They're a bit steep, and there's no like physical reason why that should be, because there's more than enough room to make a shallow staircase if you wanted to. That's been done deliberately so that the prisoners can't run up and down the stairs. I want to watch the riot scene back, because I bet those actors did a pretty good job of hurling themselves up and down the stairs. But we also learned quite a lot of stuff that I thought was interesting, and also I have to say Graham was a really good ambassador for the prison system, even though that was not what he was there for. But the way he spoke about prisoners and how the respect that he had for them, and the complete lack of judgment about what they were there for, and the way he treated them, and the way his stories, it just came out to me that it's kind of like it seems like a very skilled job, really, because you have to be so on top of human psychology to be able to control, because he kept saying over and over again, there's X number of guards and there are so many more prisoners here. You don't control them with physical violence or like you have to use your mind. And he some of the stories he said were amazing. But there was also various bits in this A-wing, like there was an intervention suite. And apparently, I thought this was interesting as well, and he made a note of saying this, that they have prisoners called listeners, and they're trained by the Samaritans, and they go, when people are being overwhelmed or they need to talk to somebody, they can go into this place, like it's, because obviously a lot of them have problems with mental health and drugs and things like that, but they go in and they reckon that for every one person who kills themselves in prison, the listeners have stopped 29 to 30 people from doing the same thing. And he said they don't get any recognition, so here we are passing on that. Also, another interesting thing, we know that at the moment in Coronation Street, the character that is in prison is Yasmin.
Yes.
And obviously in the UK and many other places, we have segregated by gender prisons, don't we? So she's in a women's prison. And I assume it's the same there as it is in men's prisons. But Graham was basically saying there's a real rule in prisons that people who are on remand and people who are convicted should never mix. So people that are on remand are people that are waiting to have their trial. Right? So that's Yasmin. But in reality, they always mix them because there's no real way, because there's not enough space to separate everybody out. So that's why Yasmin is in the prison, and she's got her bunkmate is a prisoner, who has been convicted. Thought that was interesting. He also talked about how he used to be a hostage negotiator, and about riots and how you would approach a riot, and how you had to have 3 people for every one person when you're trying to get into a room. And that was interesting because obviously part of the riot stuff was a hostage situation. And the other thing he was talking about was what gets smuggled into prisons. And we know from watching Coronation Street that one of the major things they get in there are phones. And he was talking about how much money a phone would be worth, but chargers are worth more because you need a charger.
Yeah, whenever I watch the phone scenes on Coronation Street in prison, I'm like, oh yeah, another person with a phone. Do they really have that many phones in prison? Because it seems that every Coronation Street character always managed to get a phone somehow. It appears that
they confiscate thousands of them, don't they, every year, and it's just the main thing that people bringing out. And he was saying like the reason they don't want them to have them is because a lot of them use them to continue their criminal activity. But interestingly, he said something that made my brain really tick, and that is that another thing that they dislike the prisoners, another reason why they dislike prisoners having these phones is because if somebody is in a coercive control relationship, the prisoner, who it might be the person who is using the control over somebody else, could use their phone to further that relationship when they're still in prison. He was saying some prisoners will like phone their partner at like 2:00 in the morning or something to wake them up or interfere with them.
We've seen the inverse of that, haven't we? With Jeff talking to Yasmin.
Really, really made me think that wouldn't it be a fascinating story or like thought exercise to consider how the tale would be different were it to be Jeff who was put in prison and Yasmin who was on the outside, and how would that relationship continue? Because I never really considered it, but obviously if you're in prison you still have opportunities to manipulate and control people, and Jeff would have been able to do that, and that would have been a really interesting way of doing it. Anyway, we also went to the visiting area, and it was completely different from what it would be in a prison because all of the internal fixtures had been taken out, hadn't they? So everything was loose. And so people could throw stuff around, which they wouldn't be allowed to do. But apparently in prison you get one visit every 14 days by statute, and they can't take that away from you, but you can earn up to 6 visits in 28 days with good behaviour. And if the person who comes in gets drug dog signals them, you have to have a closed visit, and a closed visit is what you have when you're behind glass. So I thought that was interesting.
The whole tour was interesting. I thought it was a really, really
I learned so much.
Lovely, enjoyable day, and a really nice way to end the holiday actually. And then after that we went home. It was absolutely 100% the end of our holiday. Sad times.
And it
2
was
weeks
horrific.
though, pretty good.
Horrific on the roads.
Oh, it was awful.
There was flooding on the M40, and we came up like 20 seconds behind what was a multi-car accident. Like, not very far.
There was debris over the road.
People were parked in the fast lane because they'd smashed into people.
Yeah.
It was awful.
There was a lane that was closed off because of flooding, wasn't there? Yeah. So we got a load of spray going on. It's like, it was one of those times that you can't, if we'd have been driving at night, thank goodness I wouldn't. It was hard enough, you couldn't see what you were doing. The
rain was so dense that you could only drive about 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you couldn't see anything in front of you, really, except the lights ahead of the car in front of you, and everyone was being pretty sensible, I will say this. Everyone was slowing down to the conditions. But
we made it home in one piece, and we ended up watching the High Days and Holiday show, which was quite cool, the Corrie specials, because they had clips from some of the places that we've been to, particularly Tatton Park, so that was cool. I have to say, looking back on the 2 weeks, I do still think that Tatton Park is one of my favourite places that we visited. I mean, I suppose the prison was the prison your highlight. Yeah. Did that top Tatton Park?
Yeah, because I was not expecting to be so interested in it, and I didn't really realise what the tour would be. Like, I thought the tour would be like, this is where the prisoners would keep, this is the cell, here's a toilet, this is what it looked like. But it was because they had people who worked in the prison service talking about what it's like to be a prisoner, and just the anecdotes and stuff about what prisoner life was like, and just his sense of humour, and also his attitude towards them. I just thought it was fascinating.
Yeah. Where else is going to be on your top list of memories?
Oh, you put me on the spot.
Oh,
I don't think I did anything I didn't like, apart from walking in the heat.
Oh yeah, I'm going to remember that. One of the things that I definitely glad we ended up doing was those comparison photos, but when we set off, we had no plan particularly to do that, did we?
No.
It just turned into be something silly we ended up doing, and like people online really like those.
And you got to be a model.
Yeah, I got to be Emily, I got to be Jenny, David.
I think one of my favourite things on social media was you coming up with the hashtag man behaving Bradley, which I thought was great whenever you did a pose that Jenny had done in the show.
Yeah, it was really fun, and definitely meeting up with Sal and Adam and Charlie and Georgia was brilliant as well.
Andrew as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
And also
meeting people.
Speaking to people as well, and how cool and interesting they were. Like, what was the name of the lady at the Mary Holiday
in the Strand.
She was so nice. And also the team yesterday at the prison, they were just so switched on. I can't wait to see what they do next, because I think they've got some big plans for their attractions, and they were just so dynamic, and they seemed to be so full of ideas of what to do with this prison and how to take the attraction next. What an exciting place to work.
I know something else that we did that we haven't even talked about in the podcast yet. When we went back to Portland Basin, over on,
yeah.
that was Thursday night, wasn't it?
That was probably one of my most exciting things.
Because that was for our character rating video, the other series of videos that we're doing at the moment with Corriepedia's Ultimate Character Survey, and we wanted to do something big as an intro and an outro for the final episodes of those, and this we came up with the idea of recreating the Hillman car chase like a month or so ago, didn't we?
It's weird because this has evolved from the very beginning of just you standing in front of a wall.
I know
that you thought was a relevant thing.
Yeah.
To like us recreating.
It's been stressful. It's like each week is like, how can I make this represent the 70s or the 90s or whatever? But yeah, having been able to go to Portland Basin, being tied up in the back of the car, it's just quite funny, really. And then when we actually went to the basin itself to do the outro, where we were stood by the side of the water, that was funny because there were people riding their bikes all around, weren't there? We wanted to go when it was dark.
So furtive.
I know, I really was, but we got some good footage. I hope people.
And I had to stand next to a pole, and when I looked at the pole, there must have been about 15 big black juicy spiders all over it with their giant webs, and I had to be careful not to walk into them. Oh, that was freaky.
So that's it. That is our holiday.
And
oh, go on. Have you got more?
Yeah, I was just going to say thank you to everyone who met up with us. Thank you to all the locations and all the people that spoke to us. And thank you.
I hope that we've inspired people, or I hope that, people have said that they've enjoyed sort of living vicariously through it, but I hope that we've also inspired some people to go and find some of these places themselves. There are certainly some of them we wouldn't necessarily recommend going to. No, you don't want to go and stand outside the house with the Doris Speed plaque because somebody actually lives there. But definitely Tatton Park's lovely. Blackpool's is a fun place to go to for a day or two. I mean, even like just driving past Audrey's house to say there it is quite fun. But honestly, if you're a Corrie fan and you're in the area, go and tour Manchester. And if you want to know where anything particular is from us, then just write in and let us know, and we can let you know how to find it for yourself.
Yes, and thank you to everybody who listens and everyone who supports us on social media, and also to our patrons, because thanks to all of you is why we were able to do this. And I'm glad that people have enjoyed it.
Yeah. And that's the end of our episode. So thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back to normal
We're
next week.
We're never doing anything like this ever again.
I don't know how we can top it.
Well,
there's a few places left in Manchester that we haven't been to.
I'm glad that there are still some more things that we can do.
One or two, but yeah. Hopefully next time that we go, it'll be when the tour is open. The new extension.
There's always something new to do.
Unfortunately,
it doesn't look as though there are going to be any new locations in the next
anytime soon.
Year or so for us to follow up. No. But
oh well. Thank you for listening, everybody. Do get in touch with us. Email us at conversationstreet@gmail.com if you've got anything you want to say or ask or whatever about it, and find us on Twitter and Instagram and all that as well. And that is it. So we're going to go now. And I'm just going to tell you where the music's from. Gemma, where did the music come from?
Oh, podcastthemes.com.
Correct.